SpaceX is nearing its 500th Falcon 9 flight. Reusability is taking over. There is a traveling rocket in Europe, and is Blue Origin actually a threat to get to the moon before SpaceX? And Starbase is getting ready to have a Starship test on Pad 1. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket is edging closer to its second launch, and this fall it's gearing up for a critical test flight. The mission, originally slated for an August 15th launch, is now more likely to occur between mid-September and November, according to sources familiar with the timeline. The second launch will carry NASA's Escapade mission, a pair of small spacecraft designed to study Mars's magnetosphere. It is a crucial scientific mission, now delayed due to the shifting launch schedule. A missed launch window last year delayed Escapade, pushing its Mars arrival by potentially a few years. However, with the next optimal launch window opening this fall, the mission is now set to reach Mars in 2027. This will be the first major payload for New Glenn, the heavy lift rocket that Blue Origin hopes will play a key role in both commercial and government space operations in the future. As the company continues its development of New Glenn, this mission will serve as an important step in the vehicle's evolution. Blue Origin is moving to secure its place in the competitive commercial launch sector. For them, this launch marks more than just a scientific milestone. It represents a critical validation point for the company's long-term ambitions. And before anyone writes in the comments that this is too slow of a launch cadence, SpaceX launched Falcon 9 Flight 1 on June 4th, 2010. Flight 2 occurred on December 8th, 2010, so just a half year later, but Flight 3 took place on May 22nd, 2012. So in almost 2 years, SpaceX flew Falcon 9 3 times. Beginnings are often slow. New Glenn is poised to become a workhorse for Blue Origin, with a manifest that includes a variety of payloads from NASA missions to commercial satellite deployments. After Escapade, Blue Origin's schedule includes several key missions. These include the Firefly Elytra orbital transfer vehicle and the Blue Moon Mark 1 lander. The latter is part of the company's ambitious lunar program. The development of the Mark 1 lander particularly is poised to draw significant attention. Blue Origin's plan to create a reusable lander capable of delivering humans to the moon are rapidly progressing. The Mark 1, which has now arrived at the company's Florida facility, will be the tallest vehicle ever landed on the lunar surface, surpassing even the Apollo lunar module, if it's faster than Starship. This version of the lander is designed to carry cargo, with the Mark II version in development for human missions. The Mark II's ability to carry up to 3 metric tons to the lunar surface puts it in a very competitive place compared to current commercial alternatives. This places Blue Origin in direct competition with SpaceX's Starship for the next lunar mission. I know, crazy, but hear me out. While SpaceX has faced multiple setbacks with Starship development lately, Blue Origin currently appears to be on a steadier path. They are positioning themselves as a serious contender to be the first to land a vehicle on the moon. If successful, Blue Origin may not only beat SpaceX to the punch, but could also establish itself as the more viable partner for NASA's Artemis program. On paper, Starship is more capable, no question. With each new launch, Blue Origin moves closer to its goal of a rapid, efficient, and reusable spaceflight system. The Chinese rocket company Space Transportation has given us a glimpse of its recovery plans for the rocket. And it's not what you might expect. This new system would use a net. In fact, 2. Yeah, you heard that right. The company released an animation showing the launch of an undisclosed rocket on a test flight. After reaching a test height of approximately 2 kilometers, it begins a descent back towards Earth. At that point, the rocket flips vertically, similar to a Starship. It then begins a controlled descent towards an apparatus consisting of 2 large nets. Yeah. A deceleration burn creates a hole in the first net, which the rocket slides through, and then after engine shutdown, the rocket is caught by the second net. Now, this is just an animation, but it's another example of how much innovation drive there is in modern rocket development. What do you think? Will this animation turn into reality? Let me know in the comments. The average person is spending half their day online. The internet has become an integral part of our daily lives. But Are you aware of digital threats waiting for you in the online world? What's more is that they are putting your children, parents, those you love in danger too. Surfshark is the sponsor of today's video, being the go-to VPN keeping you and your family's data secure. It creates a private network, keeping out whoever doesn't belong there. Just like virtually locking your door. With a built-in antivirus to protect you from dangers like data worms and Trojan horses, the Surfshark One cybersecurity package has got you covered. And it is easy, handling everything for you, including proxy emails, instant alerts, and a fresh start if your data was compromised. It protects you online, both in your own home or when you travel. And you can use it on as many devices as you like. A single license protects your family with ease. Create a new standard for your family's security. Go to surfshark.com/Felix or use code Felix at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Surfshark, your data, your rules. And we're staying on the subject of slow but steady, a little slower than Blue Origin, but steady. Europe's first reusable rocket, Themis, has finally arrived at Esrange Space Center in Sweden after a 2-week journey. After traveling from Le Mourion, France, where it was assembled, Themis is now ready to undergo a series of critical tests ahead of its first flight. Yup, first flight. This is about so much more than just a demonstration. It is the beginning of a new era for European space exploration and a paradigm shift that's persisted for very long in Europe. Too long.
Personally, I think reusability is a dream.
This was Stefanie Israel, Arianespace director in 2013. This sentiment has persisted at ESA and Arianespace for around 10 years. Now that is slowly changing, and it is very much needed for the future of European spaceflight. Themis, standing 28 meters tall and 3.5 meters in diameter, is designed as a low-cost, reusable booster stage that can launch, land vertically, and be reused. So the dream has caught up to them. ESA and Ariane Group have been working since 2023 to integrate the systems and avionics necessary for this ambitious project. They started 10 years after the interview snippet you just watched. The goal? To make space access more affordable and sustainable by reusing rocket stages, much like SpaceX has done with its Falcon series for more than a decade now. Themis' successful flight could change the way the industry views rocket launches, dramatically reducing costs and increasing launch frequency. For ESA, this project represents a drastic change forward in Europe's space ambitions. Something once described as an unrealistic dream is becoming the leading agenda. With Themis, the agency is finally developing reusability. They are also positioning Europe to be able to compete globally in a rapidly advancing space transportation market. As a fun fact, in the same 2013 interview, Stefanie Israel also said there will never be more than 20 or maybe 25 satellites launched into space per year moving forward. SpaceX does that on average in 1 week now. The first flight campaign of Themis will take place as part of the Horizon Europe project Salto, funded by the European Union. This initiative is integral to stabilizing Europe's shrinking market share in space exploration, providing both technical validation and a new operational model for the future. Next up, Themis will undergo a series of ground and flight tests at Esrange. These include a wet dress rehearsal to validate the use of liquid methane and liquid oxygen propellants, followed by a hot firing test of the Prometheus engine that powers Themis. Once these operations are mastered, Themis will be ready for its first hop, a suborbital flight that will demonstrate its landing capabilities. Something SpaceX did with the first Grasshopper flight on September 21st, 2012, 13 years ago and more than half a year before the interview with Stefanie Israel. This is urgent for ESA. The hop test is just the beginning, with further steps focused on refining the rocket's reusability, eventually leading to more advanced orbital missions. As ESA continues to improve its situation, Themis is set to be a cornerstone for Europe's future in space. SpaceX has clinched an $81.6 million contract to launch the WSF-M2 satellite in 2027, marking another win in its partnership with the US Space Force. This mission, designated USSF-178, is part of the National Security Space Launch Phase 3 Lane 1 program, marking SpaceX's third consecutive win under this initiative. That's good. They launched WSF-M1 in May of last year. The contract reflects not only the Space Force's growing reliance on SpaceX for critical national security missions, but also the company's sustained dominance in this increasingly competitive sector. The WSF-M2 satellite, developed by BAE Systems, will be launched into a sun-synchronous orbit. Equipped with advanced sensors, it will provide global weather monitoring capabilities, tracking ocean surface winds to assess tropical cyclone intensity and monitor storm development. But its role doesn't stop at weather. WSF-M2 will also gather crucial space weather data by measuring energetic charged particles in low Earth orbit. This will help understand the impacts of space weather on satellite operations and communications. The satellite will also monitor sea ice, soil moisture, and snow depth, providing valuable insights into environmental and climate changes. For the US Space Force, the WSF-M2 satellite brings with it significant operational benefits. With SpaceX's proven track record in delivering complex, high-stakes missions on time, the Space Force is solidifying its partnership with the company. The goal? Growing capabilities in space. Looking ahead, SpaceX continues to play a critical role in shaping the future of military space operations. And the US Space Force is taking space defense to the next level. New maneuverable satellites and cutting-edge cloud-based control software that sound straight out of a sci-fi thriller. Basically, satellites that can dodge things, commanded from Earth. At the heart of this push is the Space Force's Rapid Capabilities Office, or RCO, tasked with fast-tracking these critical advancements. The RCO is focusing on speed and flexibility to develop a new generation of satellites that can change their orbits as needed. These satellites will also work seamlessly with cloud-based software, enabling real-time control from anywhere. This effort is centered around the Resilient Responsive Controlled Constellation, or R2C2, a new flexible satellite system designed for speed and agility in space defense. This initiative is designed to enhance satellite maneuverability, making it more difficult for adversaries to target US assets in space. Instead of remaining in static orbits, the R2C2 satellites will be able to dynamically reposition themselves, adding an extra layer of protection and unpredictability. R2C2. For the Space Force, this marks a major leap in space defense capabilities. Looking ahead, they are gearing up for more testing and upgrades. They are aiming to expand the R2C2 satellites network and introduce even more advanced maneuverable satellites. It's about a whole lot more than upgrading existing satellites. It's a smart move to future-proof America's space strategy. They're ensuring we are prepared and adaptable for whatever challenges lie ahead in space. Before we continue with Starship news, here is something you can do to help ensure that we can keep reporting these things. Hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value, and become a wise supporter for extra content. Secure your access to up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, helicopter and ground photos, and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. The entire team is waiting for you. You rock! Meanwhile, back at Starbase's launch pads, we've seen new tests in the recently constructed tank farm with cryogenic gases, boil-off and icing visible. SpaceX will test these thoroughly before any sign of launch campaigns at Pad 2. The same was done with Pad 1 back in the day, and there are still many more tests to come in the future, both at the tank farm and on the pad itself. These tests tell us that the tank farm is almost operational and ready to now feed 2 pads. After months of construction efforts, it looks like the orbital launch mount itself has finally been completely mounted to the top of the flame trench. Installation trusses have been removed from the underside of the platform. Primary welding in that area is likely done, and the platform is now both completely aligned with the 4 footstools above the main flame trench and secured tightly. Pad 2 is rapidly moving closer to launch readiness. Yes! More and more clamp arms are being moved to and installed at the OLM. The total count is now over a dozen. And there are 21 in total. A few more days and SpaceX should be done with this task as well. Here's an interesting thought. Will SpaceX move booster 18.1 to Pad 2 after all the clamps are installed? After all, Massey's is shut down for now, and it is the only piece of Block 3 hardware that SpaceX currently has. Pad 2 can't be tested with Block 2 hardware. Booster 18 is the first Block 3 Super Heavy booster undergoing stacking in Mega Bay 1. And why can't they just test with a Block 2 booster? The new clamps for the OLM are Block 3 clamps. The booster quick disconnect configuration is entirely different from the older Block 2 as well. They are likely even switching from one quick disconnect on the booster to two. Either Booster 18 or Test Tank 18.1 seem to be the only logical options. After all, SpaceX will want to perform a first cryo test at Pad 2 at some point. So what do you think? Will it be Booster 18 or Test Tank 18.1 to go first? Let me know in the comments. It's looking more and more like the launch site will become a de facto temporary Massey Light while the test site is repaired and new equipment is installed. Of all the times to have a shutdown test site, this is probably the worst. Although there likely isn't a good time for this to happen either. It's a battle of competing timelines, and SpaceX must determine whether Block 3 will be ready for testing before the remaining Block 2 ships can be tested and certified for flight. It also appears that preparations may be underway to get the OLM ready to receive the ship testing stand. I know, it's weird. It's been relocated to Pad 1, possibly as a fix for the lost test stand at Massey's. SpaceX is racing to get a solution ready for static fire testing, and using the STS as some kind of an adapter may be their quickest work-through solution. Recently appeared scaffolding on the OLM shows that some kind of work is underway, and we may see a lift of the ring rather soon. The best way to find out is with a flyover, and our photographer Jordan is getting ready. He, by the way, celebrated his birthday on Monday. Happy birthday, Jordan! Do you want to see amazingly cool things like this from the air with your own eyes? Check out redlineheli.com/Felix for a once-in-a-lifetime experience and $25 off flying in a helicopter above Starbase. The Redline helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same views our photographer gets on his Starbase flights. Give it a try. Isar Aerospace, a German startup focused on developing small launch vehicles, has raised 150 million euros through a convertible bond investment from Eldridge Industries, a Miami-based investment firm. Announced on June 25th, the funding is set to support the company's efforts to expand its launch capabilities and production facilities near Munich. München. It's a strategic move to meet the surging demand for satellite launch services worldwide. The investment signals growing confidence in Isar's vision of providing independent and flexible access to space, positioning the company to serve both commercial and government markets. As Daniel Metzler, Isar's CEO, stated, this investment underscores a strong belief in their long-term strategy to build what he calls a new space champion. At the heart of Isar's plans is Spectrum, a small launch vehicle capable of placing up to 1,000 kilograms into low Earth orbit. While the first launch of Spectrum in March did not reach orbit due to a loss of attitude control, Isar's leadership remains optimistic. And they should. Despite the early failure, they consider the launch a success. It provided valuable flight data that sets them up for the next phase of development. The company plans to fly Spectrum again later this year, building on the lessons learned from the first attempt and aiming for a successful orbit. This level of investment and ambition also aligns with the growing demand Isar is seeing, particularly in Europe. The company has secured contracts for several launches extending through 2032. And they are well positioned to benefit from the European Launch Challenge, a competition run by the European Space Agency. It offers substantial funding for companies launching European institutional payloads. Isar is among the companies vying for a share of up to 169 million euros in potential funding. Isar is set to announce 2 to 3 participants to move forward in July. Good luck! Currently, the competition features 8 companies in the inner circle, including Orbex, Rocket Factory Augsburg, and High Impulse. The backing from Eldridge Industries, along with the potential ESA funding, further strengthens Isar's position as a company to watch in the years to come. SpaceX continues to set new records for rapid reuse with the successful launch of its Starlink 10-34 mission early on June 28th. Taking off at 12:26 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the Falcon 9 rocket launched just 2 days, 8 hours and 31 minutes after the previous mission, Starlink 10-16. It beat the company's own launchpad turnaround record set back in March by nearly 30 minutes. Again, that's the dream Arianespace was talking about turned into reality. The mission, which delivered 27 Starlink V2 mini satellites into orbit, came despite weather challenges on Florida's Space Coast the night before. Fantastic results all over. Just over 8 minutes after liftoff, B-1092 successfully landed on the drone ship a shortfall of gravitas. It marked the 115th touchdown on this particular vessel alone and the 469th successful booster landing in SpaceX's history. Starlink is growing at exponential speeds. SpaceX continued the fast pace with its 497th Falcon 9 mission, Starlink 15-7, early Saturday morning. The team has now landed a Falcon 9 rocket 470 times. As SpaceX prepares for its 500th Falcon 9 launch, it is clear that the company is relentlessly working toward its ultimate goal: turning spaceflight into an everyday activity. SpaceX has launched the EUMETSAT MTG-S1 mission from Kennedy's Space Center. It represents a significant step forward in Europe's efforts to enhance weather forecasting and atmospheric monitoring. SpaceX. The MTG-S1 satellite is the first of the Meteosat third-generation sounder series, carrying two critical instruments. The infrared sounder, or IRS, provides vertical profiles of temperature and humidity every 30 minutes. The Sentinel-4 UVN spectrometer, part of the Copernicus program, tracks trace gases like ozone, nitrogen dioxide, and sulfur dioxide. MTG-S1 is capable of measuring temperatures from the ground to space in a single pass. The satellite's primary goal is to improve weather forecasting, particularly in rapidly developing weather events like storms, by delivering real-time atmospheric data. It also plays a crucial role in air quality monitoring, providing hourly measurements of key gases and helping to assess pollution levels over Europe and North Africa. What makes this mission so important is the ability to gather atmospheric data continuously from a geostationary orbit 36,000 kilometers above Earth. Looking ahead, MTG-S1 is expected to operate for over 10 years, providing invaluable data that will support both short-term forecasting and long-term climate studies. That's it for today. Before watching the bloopers, remember to smash that like button. Subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A new Raptor design and our Mechazilla shirt are both up. Link is in the description and in the card you should see now. And if you want to learn more, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. In the competitive May 22nd, 2012. SpaceX launched, that would be a good blooper. Rabbit Capability Office?